Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us on this President's Day and also Daisy Base Day here in Arkansas. I'm Jurnee Taylor, and here are the top stories we're following for you now at noon. Some high-interest bills could become law this week. A check-in at the Capitol and a look at what we're expecting from Sarah Sanders' new education bill as soon as today. Plus, President Biden takes a secret trip to Ukraine. What happened at his visit as he now heads to Poland. And an outpouring of support for former President Jimmy Carter at his hometown. An update on the 98-year-old as he remains in hospice care. But first, we have a look at weather. It's the top of the week, and it is warm. I almost thought it was summertime. I have my short sleeves on. It's kind of hot in the studio as well, Nathan.
Well, good afternoon, Jurnee. Spring fever is in full effect. We had a beautiful weekend across the region yesterday. Highs topped out into the low to mid 70s. We're going to do it again today. Check out the temperatures right now. We're already at 70 for Russellville, Conway, Searcy, well into the 70s in Arkadelphia, Pine Bluff. We do have sun mixed in with some high to mid-level clouds filtering out that sunshine from time to time, but we stay dry. Also on the breezy side, the winds kicking in from the west-southwest about 10 to 20 miles per hour. Highs today will warm probably into, I would say, the low to mid 70s for most locations, maybe closing in on 80 degrees in South Arkansas, where you'll see more sun, also more sun in North Arkansas. And as we take a look at the afternoons ahead, the warming trend will stick around for the next few days, all the way through Thursday. Friday, look at that drop off, much cooler to close out the work week, and we warm things up for the weekend. In between, we do have the chance of some showers, maybe some storms. I'll have more on those details coming up.
We're expecting major progress with Governor Sanders' education reform plan today. She introduced it earlier this month, but now it's finalized and headed for the Capitol. Arkansas Republican Senator Breanne Davis of Russellville plans to introduce the governor's LEARNS plan this afternoon at the Capitol. And later this week, she plans to present the bill to the Senate Education Committee. Meanwhile, many are still voicing their concerns about the LEARNS plan. Protesters at the governor's mansion last night say they don't like that money is getting diverted from public schools.
Why would public tax dollars go to private schools that have no oversight? They can discriminate against any child at any private school that they want, but now they want tax dollars from everybody.
R.N. Russell is at the Capitol working to get more on the LEARNS Act for you tonight at 5 and 6. We'll also be watching several big bills coming up for a vote in the state Senate today. On the agenda, SB 71, which would abolish affirmative action and replace language like minority and civil rights with equal and non-discrimination hiring. Another bill to watch, SB 260, would amend the Arkansas Constitution to require more signatures for ballot petitions to make it to voters. You might remember voters overwhelmingly rejected a similar proposal back in November. President Biden made an unannounced trip to Kyiv, Ukraine early Monday morning on his way to visit Poland. It's his first trip to the war-torn country since the Russian invasion. The president met with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, during which he renewed his pledge of U.S. support. Stephen Portnoy reports from Poland.
Remind us that freedom is priceless. It's worth fighting for.
With Russia's war in Ukraine raging on, President Biden made a surprise trip to Kyiv, where he met with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky.
Russia's aim was to wipe Ukraine off the map. Putin's war of conquest is failing.
The president spent about 6 hours in Ukraine's capital, where he marked the end of the first year of the conflict.
1 year later, Kyiv stands, and Ukraine stands. Democracy stands.
U.S. officials say Russia was notified of the trip some hours before the president arrived, but the movements of the American president were kept secret.
After leaving Ukraine, President Biden headed here to Poland to discuss military and humanitarian aid for Ukraine with a broader group of Eastern European leaders.
Speaking in Kyiv, the president announced an additional military aid package for Ukraine of around $500 million.
That announcement includes artillery ammunition for HIMARS and howitzers, more javelins, anti-armor systems, air surveillance radars to help protect Ukrainian people,
Over the weekend, Vice President Harris told a security conference in Germany that Russia has committed crimes against humanity in Ukraine.
To all those who have perpetrated these crimes, you will be held.
And Ukraine is planning a spring counteroffensive against Russia and is asking the West for more heavier and longer range weapons. Meanwhile, Secretary of State Antony Blinken met with China's top diplomat over the weekend at a security conference in Germany. Blinken stressed the importance of a direct line of communication between the U.S. and China after the downing of a Chinese spy balloon this month. U.S. officials are also concerned that Chinese state-owned companies could soon provide Russia with lethal military assistance, including weapons and ammunition for its war against Ukraine. The Arkansas jury who convicted Mauricio Torres of capital murder and first-degree battery will reconvene tomorrow. This is the third time Torres has been convicted of capital murder and the death of his son. The sentencing phase of the trial began Friday with the jury hearing from several prosecution and defense witnesses. Prosecutors are asking for the death penalty, while the defense is asking for life in prison without the possibility of parole. Those are the only two options, and the jury gets back to work on Tuesday after the holiday weekend. Police in Southern California are looking for the killer of a Roman Catholic bishop. The LA County Sheriff's Office say Bishop David O'Connell, an assistant to Archbishop of Los Angeles, was found dead in his home on Saturday and ruled his death a homicide. He was best known for his work preventing gang violence. People across LA are paying tribute to O'Connell.
He had a passion for building a community where the sanctity and the dignity of every human life was honored and protected.
Now we're here to pray for him because he's a wonderful soul.
Bishop O'Connell was named an auxiliary bishop in LA by Pope Francis in 2015 and served chairman of the Southern California Immigration Task Force. And on this President's Day, well-wishers are visiting the hometown of former President Jimmy Carter. The 98-year-old has entered hospice care at home after a series of hospital stays. Christian Benavides is in Plains, Georgia, where Carter was born, raised, and where he's living his final days.
This is where Jimmy Carter attended high school, and it's now the headquarters of the Jimmy Carter National Historical Park in Plains, Georgia. The superintendent, Jill Stuckey, is a close friend of the Carter family. She expects a lot of visitors on this President's Day, coming to honor the legacy of the former president who's now under hospice care.
We honor President Carter and Mrs. Carter every single day. They have done so much for this town, for this state, for the country and the world.
Just down the street at Maranatha Baptist Church, parishioners fondly remember Carter teaching Sunday school.
You would have over 500 visitors here that sometimes would spend up to 48 hours in this parking lot waiting just for an opportunity to see him teach.
Sunday, Carter's niece took up the baton.
Dear Heavenly Father, and we just thank you for giving us the opportunity to be in the lives of these people.
Over the weekend, visitors stopped in at the Carter Center in Atlanta.
Great man, great president, probably underappreciated by those who don't know much about him.
Several longtime advisors to the former president tell CBS News that they expect Carter to remain tough to the end, never quitting, with his wife Rosalind by his side.
The two have been married for more than 75 years, making American history as the longest married presidential couple. Christian Benavides, CBS News, Plains, Georgia.
What's still ahead is cutting-edge technology that's growing in popularity with senior citizens. We're going to show you how older Americans are embracing virtual reality. Nathan?
And we've got lots of clouds out there, Jurnee, but it's going to stay dry today, and it's also going to be unseasonably warm. These temperatures will stay on the warm side for the next several days, but we do have the chance of showers and storms entering the forecast. I'll let you know when it arrives coming up.